Now you see the hips? You see how the hips move? Just like you're doing. I can't get next to you, baby. I can't get next to you. Oh. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go. Hey.
This is Kiana Burns, a 44-year-old mother of 8 and co-owner of a faith-based business that she and her husband spent nearly a decade building from nothing in the streets of St. Louis, Missouri. On the night of November 6, 2021, police responded to a home in Sandy Springs, Georgia, where both Kiana and her husband Ronell Burns were found dead from gunshot wounds in what officers classified as a murder unaliving. But before we get to that night, let me take you back to where their story began, because what you are about to see is a couple who were posting scripture and success on social media every single week while their whole world was quietly falling apart behind the camera.
You gotta go figure out how to leverage yourself, because if all your money requires your time, you're gonna broke. Let me say it again. If all your money requires your time, you're gonna broke. And here's the solution that we come up with when we don't make enough money. I'm gonna get a part-time job. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. $10 an hour. 20 hours a week. You made $200. Okay, no, you didn't. Because out of that 200, they're gonna take up this thing called taxes. So that 200 drops to 160, and then you gotta pay your sister to keep your kids. So you gotta give her 40, now you have 120, and then you gotta do this thing called eat. Why you got? That's 20 more. So you're at $100. Oh, you still gotta drive there too, don't you? That's another $100. So for $70 a week, you leave your kids because you're working 2 jobs, and you're gonna get $70 to go to the movies and get a pizza. And you see something like this, you say, I can't do that. Oh, you better do this. You can't do this? Whatever job you have, they trained you, right? You learn how to go do it for $70. Won't you learn how to go do this and make yourself $1,000 or $2?
All right now.
So what I'm saying is that if you want something different, you got to do something different. Now I'm a preacher, so this is my real quote.
Yes, you are.
2 weeks before the shooting, she sat in front of her phone and told her followers this.
Honestly, if I'm being totally, perfectly honest, I'm having one right now. And the reason I'm going live is because sometimes you gotta reach out and tell people that you need love, you need support, you need care, you just need a hug. And honestly, you guys, I need that. I need that right now.
What makes this story so heavy is that on the outside, everything looked like it was working. The salon, the ministry, the business coaching brand, the 8 kids, the matching outfits, the motivational posts. Kiana and Ronell Burns had built the kind of image that makes people in the comments say relationship goals. And they worked incredibly hard to keep that image alive even as everything underneath it was starting to fall apart. Kiana Renee Burns was born on September 15, 1977 in St. Louis, Missouri. She grew up in the Riverview Gardens School District, graduated from Riverview Gardens High School, and went on to earn a cosmetology degree that she put to work right away. She founded Critique Design's beauty and barber salon in the late 90s or early 2000s, and for almost 25 years, that salon was the financial backbone of everything the Burns family built. It was her baby and the one stable, real thing in their whole operation. Ronell Dwight Burns was born on May 14, 1975, also in St. Louis. He grew up in the Vaughn housing projects in downtown St. Louis, and by his own telling, he found faith early and started preaching to people around him while he was still a teenager.
He said, where's the cars that pulled over in the storm? He said, where's the
He graduated from Vaishyan High School in 1994 as part of a state championship basketball team, which tells you something about how competitive he was. He never went to college, but what he had was charisma, a natural talent for public speaking, and the kind of confidence in himself that makes other people believe in him too. He went on to start Legacy Financial Solutions, a financial advice company, and later co-founded the six-figure Ambition coaching brand with Kiana. Together, they also ran For His Glory Ministries, a faith-based organization that preached about God's love for people who are not perfect. On the surface, it looked like a beautiful story of two people who had both been through rough times, found each other, mixed their families together, and built something real. And for a while, people believed every single word of it. The couple married on September 13, 2012, and together they had a blended family of 8 children from previous relationships: Rhea Burns, Ronell Jr., Riley Burns, Mecky Combs, Rahaley Burns, Jaicha Martin, Mariana Reed, and Ryan Burns.
If you need insurance, Ronell is the man. If you need your hair done, Kiana is grand. Together 8 children, Shazam! Meet the Burns.
America, you ain't gonna wanna miss this. This is my wife, Kiana.
Mrs. Burns.
Hey, this show is gonna start and it's gonna be exciting. Hey, son, you all right? Hi, baby, how you doing? Mwah. Every single episode is gonna be exciting, full of action, impact. We talking big business. We talking about big family. Meet the Burns. Get off my couch. You know better than that, right? Hey, so like I said, we're gonna be taking from every angle: business, family, business. Hey, now you know, good and well, the Kool-Aid and carpet do not mix. Oh, y'all thought we was done? No, we just getting started. So now we at our salon. Critique Design is actually one of the best in the loop, so we got 2 of them, and as you see, it's always cracking. But you don't just come here to get your hair did. You want some prickle pig feet, razor blades, braids, whatever you want. What's up, Kaka? That's my cousin Ma. But they say whenever you getting your hair did, women barbers do it better. And so from the top to your bottom, you look at Ronnie the B. She the one to take care of me. What's up, Ronnie? Hey, she empty today, but hey, she normally popping, y'all, right? And so first impression in any establishment is everything. And when you walk through these doors, you see my boy Nick always doing his thing. But as soon as you pass up his angle, man, you want some drama for your mama, Barry Road, man, she gets down with people, stay out of her lane, right? But this is the one that makes it happen. That's my boo. What's up, baby? She the one make it happen. I stay out the web in her. She run this thing from the top to the bottom. Hey, y'all, meet the Burns. Now this right here, this is my baby. I love this. You be my wife, she's trying to catch up with me, baby. We gotta move fast, baby, because it's time for big business. So we help families, we change lives, we impact our community. Big family, big business.
That clip right there is from the pilot episode of Meet the Burns, a reality series that Kiana and Ronell produced themselves to grow their brand as influencers. It never got picked up beyond that one video, but it shows you exactly how they wanted the world to see them as this unstoppable, loud, God-fearing power couple who had cracked the code on success, faith, and family all at the same time. The truth was a very different story, and the signs had been there for years if you were paying attention. Before Ronell ever got with Kiana, his first marriage had already been put on blast for the whole country to see. His first wife, Avis, took him to divorce court, where she accused him of cheating, poor communication, and messing up their finances, including maxing out credit cards and not holding down a steady job. Ronell pushed back on some of it, but the episode painted a clear enough picture of the kind of partner he had been.
She was telling me when we got back home, I have a 7-year-old daughter that's not with her, that live with her, but she was telling me to find a babysitter for my 7-year-old daughter. I'm like, what we need a babysitter? You're a stay-at-home mom. In my head, but I'm like, okay, maybe she want to get out with the girls or whatever. When I read this Facebook, she tried to get me to get a babysitter so she can go over some guy's house. And when I read all this, I'm like, what's going on? She's like, oh, I'm just going over the guy's house. We weren't gonna do nothing. I'm like, you going to his house to play bingo? You going to play spades? Because you don't need to go to his house to do that.
He turned the whole thing into a testimony, framing it as his rock bottom, the moment that pushed him toward God and a better version of himself. And honestly, that story worked on people. He was a talented speaker who knew how to make you feel like he had already been through the fire and came out healed on the other side. But the patterns he carried into that first marriage did not disappear. They just followed him into the next one. By late 2021, Ronell and Kiana had been married for almost a decade, and the problems in their relationship had gotten very deep. Sources describe mutual cheating on both sides, with Ronell going back to the same behavior from his first marriage and Kiana starting her own affair as her response to his betrayal and the way he had been treating her emotionally. And on top of everything in the relationship, the money situation was far worse than anything they ever showed their audience. In December of 2019, the couple filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy and listed over $500,000 in debt. That money had gone into failed business projects, expensive purchases like a Maserati, and Ronell's habit of using Kiana's salon income to fund his various ventures. According to people who looked closely at their finances, Critique Designs was the only thing in their whole operation that was actually making consistent money. This means that for years, Kiana was working hard to keep the salon running while that money flowed out to support a brand that had Ronell's name at the top. That kind of arrangement creates a deep resentment that does not just go away because you post a scripture. And yet, in public, they were still putting out scripture quotes, still promoting six-figure ambition events, still talking about how God had carried them through every storm together.
In spite of what we go through, see, people think our life just been rosy, and it ain't rosy now. We got a better marriage than we ever had, but our life ain't rosy. We got crap that's happening. If I get on here and tell you about all the crap that's going on in our life, you'll say, I feel sorry for them. But we don't want nobody to feel sorry for us.
What is striking about that clip is how honest it actually is once you know the full picture. Their Instagram featured a Maserati Levante with a caption that said, "My life is unbelievable," posted on May 6, 2020. That post went up less than 6 months after they had filed for bankruptcy. The car was almost certainly financed or leased. They were renting a 5-bedroom house in Sandy Springs, but presenting it online as if they owned it. Every piece of their brand was built around looking like they had already arrived at the destination they were selling to their clients. The decision to pack up the whole family and move to Atlanta was presented to their followers as an expansion move and God opening new doors. And maybe in the beginning that is genuinely how Kiana and Ronell felt about it, but the reality of that move once they were actually in it was a whole different experience.
Little kids' first day of school in Atlanta. We got a kindergartner, we got a middle schooler, and a high schooler.
I'm going to first grade. I better know.
Oh, then kindergarten? She going to first grade.
Why she saying that?
I thought she was going to kindergarten.
Baby, you got the keys to the lady.
I'm ready to tell you happy birthday.
What's up, ugly? Oh. Boy, you better look at your balloons.
I want to see it tonight when I get here. I don't want to look right now. I want to be surprised.
Hey, Keisha.
The family moved to Sandy Springs, Georgia, around May or June of 2021, into a 5-bedroom rental they were calling their own online. They had 8 children, no family or real friends in the city, and Ronell was still flying out regularly for ministry retreats and speaking events. This left Kiana essentially by herself with 8 kids in a city where she did not know a single person. If you have ever moved to a new place far from home with no support around you, you know what that kind of loneliness feels like. And that is exactly why on October 20th of that year, she got on Facebook Live and said what she said.
Hey. What's up, y'all? Good morning. I just felt the need to hop on here for just a moment, not long at all, and kind of just talk about, life changes. For those that don't know, about 5-6 months ago, my husband and myself, we moved to Atlanta to expand our business. Still have the beauty and barber salon in St. Louis, Missouri. Y'all know That's the hometown, but we did come here to expand. We did a lot of great things in Missouri. So, you know, Atlanta is a place where I always wanted to be. What's up, y'all? What's up, Amanda? But look, y'all, I'm telling you, if you don't stay prayed up and you don't keep faith, things can swivel in and take you out. I'm telling you, you guys, like, the transition, it wasn't necessarily a smooth one. It wasn't a hard one either, but it was something that we chose to do. And when you come to a new state or city and you're trying to learn people and you're trying to learn, you know, the things that they do, and that could be challenging. And coming here with our kids, just us and our kids, you know, it's just us, you know what I'm saying? We ain't got nobody. We can't drop the kids off at our kinfolk's house. We can't go, you know. So right now my husband is, you know, at a retreat. I stayed back due to because we have our children here. However, you all, I just want to talk on her because you have to be prepared for life changes, no matter what it is that's taking place. And I'm trying to encourage someone, because things in your life can change for the good or the bad overnight, literally. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't feel like you're a strong enough individual, some things may take you out. You know what I'm saying? I've come in contact with so many people where they feel like they can't make it to the next day because certain circumstances happen. But you have to know the things that you're going through is for a reason. Now, you may not even be going through something for you yourself. It may be for somebody else and someone else's strength. You know, so I made a post earlier where I said you have to continue to encourage people, because what you're going through could be their lifeline to survive. You know what I'm saying? And I know for me, sometimes when I get on social media, yeah, we all know it's like we get on there and we be like, social media, I just can't stand it. It get on my nerves. People this, that. But I'm telling you, it's some strong sisters and brothers on social media that keep me going some days. Like, real talk. I have some very positive people that's on my timeline, and they help me through my gloomy days, because yes, I do have them. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, if I'm being totally, perfectly honest, I'm having one right now. And the reason I'm going live is because sometimes you got to reach out and tell people that you need love, you need support, you need care, you just need a hug. And honestly, you guys, I need that. I need that right now. I mentor so many women. I encourage so many women. I pump life and positivity in so many women. But sometimes I need that myself. And God knows right now, I need that, you all. Hey, everybody. What's up, Roy? What's up, y'all? I'm just saying, like, you got to get to the point where you got that love circle that's going to support you no matter what, that's going to be there for you no matter what, that's going to be able to help you and talk you through things that you feel like you just can't get through. Because if we leave things to ourselves, we start thinking to ourselves and we start making bad decisions. But you got to have somebody. I always say, if I'm not around people that can help me stretch, I'm not around the right type of people. You got to have people that's around you that's not yes men, people that's going to help you think, people that's going to help guide you to positivity, to greatness, to things you really need to do and be in life. And that's what I want around me. It's a lot of people that I used to hang with, and I love them to love their souls, but they're not where I want to be. They're not. It's places I want to be in life. It's things I want to do. And I've just decided for myself that I'm going to figure out a way to get around those people. Because every day Kiana want to keep growing. And you should too. You guys, I'm asking you one thing. Because I really need it right now. I need prayer. I need prayer. I need strength. I need love. I do. Stay encouraged. I'm going to go in my home, go in my little prayer room. I'm going to talk to God. Y'all pray for me. And I promise I'm going to keep praying for everybody else that need encouragement. I love you all. Talk to you soon.
What most of her followers did not know at that moment was that just one day earlier, on October 19th, Ronell had filed for divorce and cited Kiana's affair as the reason. In a video he later deleted from YouTube, Ronell described an earlier moment where they had sat outside the salon in St. Louis and had a calm, practical conversation about splitting up, talking through how to divide the businesses fairly and make sure the kids were protected.
And as we sat in the truck and we said, hey, you know what, if we're going to get a divorce, let's be civil. You know, we got kids, we got businesses. We said, well, let's just sit down and just talk about how this all going to work out. Meaning from a business aspect. We didn't talk about why we should stay together. You know, we love each other. None of that conversation was being had. We was done with each other. And so all we talked about, we said, okay, well, listen. We done with each other. We both came to that conclusion, but let's not impact everybody's life that's around us because we just decided we don't want to be together no more. Let's not do that. So I said, let's have a conversation. And we took out a piece of paper, we drew a line down the middle of it, and we talked about how the business was going to go, how we was going to divide the business. And she go her way and I go my way, but we didn't want to compromise and jeopardize everybody else's future because we was tripping. Let's not destroy our businesses. Let's not tear each other's name down. Let's not do none of that because there's kids, there's family members, there's moms and everything that we plan on retiring one day. And just because we decided we don't like each other no more, we're going to forfeit all that. We're going to mess up that for everybody. No, we got to figure out a way how we can work together, be divorced, go our separate ways, know at some point we're going to get remarried to somebody else, but keep sustaining what we promised the people that's dependent on us.
He said by the end of that same night, they had both decided not to go through with it. But the October filing tells you that whatever they had tried to work out between them, it had not held. 3 days after the Facebook Live on October 23rd, Kiana posted about waking up from a nightmare and asking God for strength, and the tone of what she was sharing was getting darker with every post. Her followers were sending prayers and words of encouragement, but nobody understood how serious it was. On the morning of November 6th, Kiana posted a video of herself dancing with one of her children, smiling and looking completely like herself. That was the last thing she put on social media. That evening, around 9 o'clock, one of their daughters called 911 to report a domestic disturbance at the house, and neighbors had also heard shouting and gunshots. When officers got to the scene, they found both Kiana and Ronell dead from gunshot wounds. Sandy Springs Police Sergeant Salvatore Ortega confirmed publicly that no one else was inside the home when the shots were fired. The investigators concluded it was a murder unaliving connected to domestic violence, and their belief was that Kiana had fired first before turning the gun on herself. What the investigation did produce was a legal mess around their life insurance policies. Primerica, the insurance company that held their policies, filed a case in federal court in Missouri in March of 2022 because the exact order of who died first was not completely clear. And both Missouri and Georgia have what are called slayer statutes, which are laws that stop anyone who caused a person's death from collecting money from that person's life insurance policy. 30% of the total benefits went without a fight to the couple's mothers. The remaining 70% was put into dispute and held by the court. By November of 2022, the case was effectively closed, but no public ruling was ever made on how that 70% was finally divided. The 8 children Kiana and Ronell left behind have never been mentioned in any public update. Their guardianship, where they are living, who is raising them, all of that has been kept completely private, and honestly, that is probably the most decent thing that has come out of this whole situation. Now, stay with me because I need to take you to a completely different city, a different couple, a different year, but I promise you it is going to feel like you have seen this before. Meet Winter Nicole Straw, a 25 years old mental health officer, a college athlete, a sorority woman, and one half of what her TikTok followers loved to call a couple goals relationship. On the evening of March 26, 2023, her boyfriend, Renardo S. Johnson, shot her to death outside their apartment in Northeast Columbia, South Carolina, then went back inside, locked the door, and eventually turned the gun on himself. Just days before that, they had been recording videos together on TikTok, laughing, doing couple challenges, making the kind of content that makes strangers in the comments wish they had what the couple had. Winter grew up in Columbia, South Carolina as the youngest in her family, and everybody who knew her called her Wenchie. She graduated from Columbia High School in 2015 and went on to Allen University, a historically black college right there in her hometown. She earned her degree and competed on both the women's basketball and volleyball teams. She was part of the team that won Allen University's first ever AII Conference Championship and the school's first women's basketball title in 2016. Winter was also a member of the Gamma Pi chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and even after she graduated in 2020 with a degree in social science, she kept coming back to campus to mentor younger students and support the teams. After school, she went to work at the South Carolina Department of Corrections at the Broad River Secure Facility as a mental health officer, a job that required her to be trained specifically in handling crisis situations and giving support to incarcerated people who are dealing with serious mental health problems. SCDC Director Brian Sterling described her as the epitome of a dedicated officer who brought genuine care to everything she did. Her mother, LaShawn Williams, called her a rising star, sweet, innocent, and always pushing to make her family proud. By every measure that matters, Winter was doing everything right. Renardo S. Johnson was 27 years old and originally from Pelion, South Carolina. Not much about his background is available publicly, but what we know is that he and Winter had been together for several years and that he was a consistent presence in their social media content. Then, in August of 2022, Winter was in a serious car accident, and Renardo stayed by her side throughout her entire recovery. That deepened his bond with her family, and it gave everyone around them more reason to believe that this was a man who truly had Winter's back. Everything about this relationship looked clean and solid. And that is exactly why Winter's story is so much harder to sit with than the Burns case. With Kiana and Ronell, there were signs: the money problems, the divorce court episode in Ronell's past, the Facebook Lives getting more desperate in the weeks before the shooting. With Winter, there was almost nothing visible at all.
Who was interested first? Who said I love you first? Who's more protective? Who cleans more? Who eats the most? Who spends the most money? Who is most likely to start an argument? Who falls asleep first? Who is more annoying? Who loves the hardest?
All right, put the in the back.
On March 26, 2023, at around 6 o'clock in the evening, Richland County Sheriff's Department deputies were sent to the Carrington Place at Wildwood apartment homes in the 700 block of Mallet Hill Road in Northeast Columbia after getting reports of shots being fired. When they pulled up, they found Winter Nicole Straw on the ground outside the apartment building, dead from multiple gunshot wounds. She had been shot outside her own front door by Renardo, who had gone back into their apartment and locked himself in. What followed was a standoff that lasted close to 3 hours. Negotiators got on the phone with Johnson and tried to talk him out of the apartment peacefully. During the early response, there were reports that a child might be inside the unit, which made the whole situation feel even more urgent. Deputies kept a tight perimeter around the building while negotiators kept working. Sheriff Leon Lott was personally at the scene. Around 9 o'clock, Johnson went quiet and stopped answering the negotiators. A few minutes later, a single gunshot was heard from inside the apartment. The deputies immediately forced themselves into the apartment and found Johnson with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the upper body. He was rushed to a hospital but succumbed to his wounds that same night. The Richland County coroner ruled Winter's death a homicide and Johnson's death self-inflicted, officially closing the case as a domestic murder unaliving.
LaShawn Williams is the mother of Winter Straw and described Straw's murder as a shock and a betrayal. She says she's now turning her energy to taking on domestic violence.
She was a good friend, good sister, great daughter, all around just a good person, a rising star.
LaShawn Williams spoke lovingly of her daughter, Winter Straw, describing her as determined and community-driven. She says the family welcomed the man, and there were never any signs of mistreatment.
We didn't see any signs, no signals. It wasn't like she was coming around us with black eyes or anything like that. So there was none of that.
Making the murder a shock.
It is definitely a betrayal. Because this man looked me in my eyes all the time. And whenever I would talk to him, I'd say, I'm giving you my child, a wholehearted, bubbly personality, and that's how I want to get her back. And he always assured me he would never do anything to hurt my child.
She says Winters has given the family a new purpose.
We want to make it clear, real clear. Domestic violence is not a joke. It's not something that we should take lightly. For those of you that are posting on Facebook and doing all that unnecessary stuff, I don't care what a person does to you. You don't have the right to take her life. You don't have the right to put your hands on nobody.
County officials have not confirmed the name of the suspect, but the sheriff's department did report he died in the hospital overnight from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Williams says that the family will be hosting a vigil this evening for Straw at the Carrington Place at Wildwood apartment homes at 6:30. Reporting in Richland County, Chris Joseph, WIS News 10.
What investigators confirmed was that this was a domestic violence incident between two people in a romantic relationship, and that Johnson was the one who fired first at Winter before taking his own life. Beyond that, no specific trigger or argument was ever officially disclosed to the public, which is one of the most painful parts of this whole story for Winter's family, because it means they never got a clean explanation for why. Winter's mother, LaShawn Williams, spoke out almost immediately after her daughter's death. She told people, "We didn't see any signs, no signals. It wasn't like she was coming around us with black eyes or anything like that." She said Johnson had looked her in the eyes more than once and promised he would never harm Winter, and that she had trusted him completely. That kind of betrayal, where you feel like the danger was hidden so deeply that even the people closest to Winter could not find it, is something that is very hard to recover from. Her family gathered outside the apartment building that same evening to hold a vigil and speak out against domestic violence. They wore purple, which was Winter's favorite color, and also the color people use to represent domestic violence awareness. Her colleagues at the South Carolina Department of Corrections organized fundraisers through the Correctional Peace Officers Foundation to support her family. Allen University and her sorority both issued public tributes, and Columbia High School sent their condolences as well.
She was just a beautiful spirit that, didn't deserve nothing.
According to deputies, Straw was shot and killed outside the Carrington Place at Wildwood apartment homes by a man deputies say she had a romantic relationship with. The man killed himself after barricading himself in an apartment for hours. A family and community of friends devastated by her death. Straw's family says she went to Columbia High School and played basketball at Allen University before graduating. She was also a member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority and was loved by friends and coaches.
She helped us win our first championship at Allen. On the women's side, first championship they ever won. And she was part of that team, and she was a big part of that team.
She ain't like nobody calling her the baby because she had it. She held it. So,
Straw worked at the Department of Corrections as a mental health officer. And her mother said she was planning to go to law school.
This is a shame that these girls and these babies and these kids, these mothers, we have to grieve because somebody decided they wanted to take God into their hands. It's just too much. It's too much. We got to come together and figure out how do we put an end to this.
Looking back at Winter's social media after her death, researchers found some posts about peace and endings on her Facebook that in hindsight may have hinted at something being wrong, though nobody who saw them at the time read them that way. And that is the part that makes domestic violence so hard to fight, because so much of it happens in a place where no one outside the relationship can see it. Now, I want you to sit with both of these stories at the same time, because the similarities are not a coincidence and they are not random. They point to something that is happening in relationships all around us, and the fact that both of these women were on camera smiling with the men who would eventually kill them is not ironic. That is the whole point of what we are talking about today. The differences between the two cases are also real. In the Burns situation, there was a trail you could follow. In Winter's case, there was almost nothing visible from the outside. Advocates and community members have also pointed out that Winter's case got far less national attention than similar cases involving white victims, which is part of a larger conversation about whose pain gets treated as a national story and whose gets a local vigil, and then a lot of silence. Research on cases where a romantic partner kills someone and then takes their own life shows that certain things come up again and again. Past violence in the relationship that was never reported to anyone, access to a gun, a relationship that was coming apart or where one person felt like they were losing control, and mental health struggles in the person who pulled the trigger. In both of these cases, some version of those factors was present. In neither case did the people around the victims recognize the danger in time to stop what was coming. What Kiana Burns was really saying in that final Facebook Live, even if she was not saying it directly, was that she was alone and she needed real help from people who were physically present in her life. She said it herself. She was preaching like she always did, but she was also telling her own story to anyone who was paying close enough attention. In 2024, Winter's mother, LaShawn Williams, dedicated a purple bench in her honor during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Allen University's women's volleyball team has continued to honor her name. Her mother, LaShawn, has kept speaking, sharing, and pushing the conversation forward even in her grief. What do you think about these murder cases? Let me know in the comments section. Also, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.